I think there are lots of sciences. I mean, the mistake is to think they all reduce, it's reductionism. Okay? Reductionism is every science reduces to physics, and that's the one that tells you the truth. All you have to do is find some science which doesn't reduce to physics, psychology, economics. What about history? Is that a science? Geography? People say it's a science. You get all these, even biology, it's not quite clear. Theory of evolution, is that a science? Like physics? I think there are just lots of different scientific approaches, and they don't reduce to one sort of activity. In other words, there's nothing scientific to be said in favor of reducibility. But there is a dogma, I agree. I mean, it's pleasingly simple, to say, oh, well, we could explain everything in the universe if we could just get these few laws, a few simple elements. Well, dark energy and dark matter have destroyed that hope, as has quantum physics, really. You just have to say, well, these things are a lot more complicated than we thought, and we can't even interpret them intelligibly yet, to everybody's agreement in science. So we're not in an age where we've got a few agreed axioms, and from them we can explain everything that happens. We're nowhere near that at all. And I don't want to get into tough science here, but if you're talking about information theory and the way that, say, DNA is a code for constructing proteins which build bodies, and it's actually a code. It's like, but more complicated than the codes you use for digital computers. And those are not just physical things. A string of noughts and ones on a computer doesn't mean anything, but it's a code. And I think a lot of scientists are now thinking there's something very odd about a universe which seems to be shaped in terms of codes of information, because information is not purely physical. It is embedded in the physical, but if you play a whole string of noughts and ones, you don't know it's Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, right? And yet it is, if you have the code. And that's a totally new component in science. So my view about science is, talking to lots of scientists, I just think, well, it's too dogmatic to say we know that there could be no causal influences which come within our present physical understanding. It would be too dogmatic to say that. And then the other half of this point, if you're thinking about how humans live, is that freedom, free will, doing what I want, intending, trying hard to do things, that's just a common human experience. It would need a very, very well-established theory to show that this is an illusion. Right? So I think common sense ought to win. It's the science you should be skeptical about, or it's not the science, it's the materialistic philosophy which some people think derives from the science that you need to be skeptical about, because it doesn't fit. If you're starting philosophy from human experience, one of your basic experiences, the most basic experience, is the difference between doing something and having something done to you. Action and passion. So that sense of action is very primitive. It's very, and you've got to say, if you were in science, you would have to reduce that to just effect. Everything would be an effect of something else. You would not be making real decisions which changed things that happened in the future.